as we come around for possible green flag action, and the green is out.
And the running of the 1991 Metal Center Bluegrass 300 is underway. Inside pole position winner Larry Metters racing down the back straightaway, as right now they are still in double file formation as they come around to complete lap number 1. But Keith Gardner and a bunch of smoke out from underneath the number 98 going into turns 1 and 2. He led the first lap. And let's see if he's still on the track at the completion of the second lap, because again, a lot of smoke from underneath the hood of the number 98, the 1991 late model champion here at Louisville Motor Speedway. But it looks like definite problems on the number 98 going into turns 1 and 2. Marshall Jaggers, what does it look like it could have been?
Something in the engine looks like it must have let go, and if that was a fresh motor that they just put in, they used some of the parts off of the old engine and installed on that one. Evidently, he's still going, but he's showing a whole lot of smoke. It probably lost the cylinder or swallowed the valve.
Okay, and the number 98 of Keith Gardner rolls down pit road after smoking. He led lap number 1, that's about all we can say, but he fell to the tail of the lineup, pulled down onto pit road, and the Barley Ford Bojangles Ford Thunderbird crew is now going underneath the hood of the car right now to try and maybe get Keith back in the race. We're 5 laps into this 300 lapper here tonight at Louisville Motor Speedway, and the number 05 of Larry Metters leads them off into turns 1 and 2, with the number 1 of Bill Webb running at second, going third on the field. The number 69 of Bill Kimmel Jr. at fourth. It's Rick Irwin in the number 90, and rounding out the top 5, the winner 1 year ago, Scott Walters, as they wheel off into turns 1 and 2. Dean Taylor.
Don't forget, we've got big money up for grabs tonight on some of the laps. The person who's leading lap number 100 will receive a nice bonus from the Metal Center. Lap 150 and the person who's leading lap number 200 will receive a bonus from the Metal Center.
Dean Taylor, let's go down to pit road with Scott Douglas. He's standing by with the number 98 of Keith Gardner's crew, and perhaps he can give us some insight as to what may have been the problem on the car. Scott Douglas, take it away if you can. So it looks as though the number 98 of Keith Gardner is out of commission for the night, but a great year in 1991 as he comes away with the late model championship. Guy getting away from him out here tonight so far in the early running is the number 05 of Larry Metters. Right now he's got about a 8-car length separation between himself and the second place running Bill Webb, the 1988 late model champion, and the 3-time feature event winner in 1991, Bill Kimmel Jr. Kimmel looks to the inside of Webb going into turns 1 and 2. Decides not, he'll tuck right back in line as our leader, Larry Metters, zips past the inside of Bud Toohey to put Toohey 1 lap down. Also 1 lap down, the number 10 of Chad Paxton, as is the, I believe, the number 95 of Fred Williams now scoring 1 lap down. We're 15 laps into the Metal Center Bluegrass 300, and the number 05 of Larry Metters is the race leader. But Marshall Jaggers, it was the same scenario in 1990 here at the track of the 90s, Louisville Motor Speedway, when Larry Metters won the pole and then led about 200 laps of the event last year, but then had the rear end go away in the car, and he wound up not finishing in the event. What do you think the chances are that Metters could win tonight or drop out tonight?
Oh, the chances are real great. One thing's for sure, I bet Larry Metters' crew has double-checked that rear end that's under the car tonight, because that was heartbreaking last year. The same as far as the Gardner car tonight. To do all that work, rush, pull the car on the track, new motor, turn second fast time, lead the first lap, and lose the motor on the second lap.
Somebody about ready to lose second place is Bill Webb of Jeffersonville, Indiana. He's challenged on the inside by Clarksville, Indiana's Bill Kimmel Jr. as they race down the back straightaway. Ronnie Page has spun in between the third and fourth turn. Larry Metters, our race leader, collected Ronnie Page and tore away the right front suspension on his automobile. We saw Rick Irwin in the number 90 make contact as well, and we do not know the extent of the damage on Irwin's automobile, although it looks quite severe on pole position winner and race leaders Larry Metter's machine in the number 05. We'll see our first caution flag period at lap number 20, as and it looks like on pit road right now, the number 74, Brian Baum, making perhaps a scheduled stop or an unscheduled stop. So it looks like quite a bit of debris down in the third and fourth turn, and we're under caution after 21 laps of the Bluegrass 300, brought to you by the Metal Center. 21 complete, and we do want to stress that all caution laps count during the running of the Bluegrass 300.
Right, you are, Frank Scott. So to recant what's happened once again, the number 33 of Ronnie Page got a little sideways right down between turns 3 and 4. Your race leader, the number 05 of Larry Metters, who's now moving down pit road, collected him and did quite some severe damage to that front left-hand side of the car, the front right-hand side of the car, actually. And then the number 90 of Rick Irwin made contact as well. I'm sure we'll be hearing from Scott Douglas momentarily for his racing report. In fact, let's go to Scott Douglas right now.
First, Brian Baum was the first one to come in the pits. The Outer Limits Metal Center Oldsmobile has sustained damage to the driver's side rear, the left rear quarter panel. They've had to pull away some of the sheet metal and get it away from the tire. And right now, I think they may actually be having to change a tire. So it's going to be a lengthy stop, but it's not one that's going to hurt him time-wise because the red flag is out. But Brian Baum certainly has to have some major work done there. Though, the man who got the worst of it was our race leader and a man who can't seem to catch a break in these big events at Louisville Speedway, Larry Metters. Right now, the entire front right quarter, the front right hand.
In the Metal Center Bluegrass 300, field moves into turns 1 and 2. Jeffersonville, Indiana's Bill Webb pacing the field down into turns 3 and 4. Coming around to complete lap number 23 this time around. Bill Kimmel Jr. and the number 69 comes right along with Webb and takes a peek to the inside again. I believe Bill Kimmel Jr. would like to have a part of that lead as they come out of turn number 4 and down the front straightaway. Don't you agree, Marshall Jaggers?
Yeah, naturally, this race pays halfway leader money and everything else, but Bill's car looks like it's working awful good. Of course, again, Bill Webb could be just pacing himself. Kimmel's trying to take the inside line away from him. Whether or not he will, I don't know.
Okay, and it's a little early in the race to be doing all this racing, but Bill Kimmel Jr. Stages an attack to Bill Webb to the inside. Those two cars came together rather hard that time in the fourth turn area of the Speedway. Bill Kimmel Jr. falls back in line. Scott Walters in the number 5 rides along at third place, and you can throw a blanket over the top 4 cars because Chuck Winders has reeled in our race leaders. Kimmel again looking to the inside on Webb as they race into turns 1 and 2. He pulls up nearly side by side and then again drops back in line. But again, Marshall Jaggers, it's a situation where Kimmel could be using up all his brakes this early in the race, and this is something he doesn't want to do.
Not only that, but he can also be using up all of his tires. 300 laps, you need to just pace yourself. I'm sure that's what Bill Webb has done, is just setting a moderate pace to save his car towards the end. Kimmel's a little faster, and he's wanting to go ahead and go. Webb will give him the outside, but he won't give him the inside.
Okay, and once again, Chuck Winders in the number 8 rides along patiently in the number 4 spot. The number 28 of Frank Kimmel goes 5th. At 6th, it's Roland Isaacs going the number 7 position right now. Mike Garvey, the defending NASCAR All-American Challenge Series champion, racing on tracks all along our region. Then also Preston Ford in the number 20 inside the top 10. Ron Phillips in the number 39 is placing in the top 10 as well as they move single file out of turn number 4 and down the front straightaway. And all of a sudden, Dean Taylor, Scott Walters looks like he wants to be a player in this thing. And just as aggressively as Bill Kimmel Jr. goes to work on Bill Webb, Scott Walters would like to take second place away.
Top 3 cars all together right now. Coming out of number 4 down number 33. It's a couple of battling it out for the top honors right now. Second, and knocking it down is number 5 of Scotty Walters as he looks to the outside of moving back and forth. Continuous high coverage of the Metal Center 300
The top 3 cars move down the front straightaway. They'll click off lap number 35. And into turns 1 and 2, it's still Bill Webb of Jeffersonville, Indiana, in the Charlie's Fun Food and Spirits Right Way Grinding Saw and Tool Company Budget Rent-A-Car and Truck and Boat and Car Care Racing Lumina. Running at second, it's the number 69, Bill Kimmel Jr. in the John Jones GM City Kimmel Race Cars Prepared Lumina. And then going third, it's the Roadrunner Video Clubs, Conover's Body Shop, Southern Metal Products, and Auburndale Auto Parts and Machine Cutlass of Scott Walters. The number 8 of Charge It Chuck Winders in the Castle Bingos, Crisco's Racing Engines, Buick Regal still at 4th place. And rounding out the top 5, the number 28, the Sea Line Engineering, Melton Food Marts, and Clarksville Schwinn and Fitness Racing Chevrolet Lumina of Frank Kimmel. So that's the way the top 5 look now, approaching the 40-lap mark. Leaders move back into turns 1 and 2, putting another lap on the number 95 of Fred Williams of Minor Lane Heights, Kentucky, and that Convenient Food Mart's Lumina going one more lap down to the field. Roland Isaacs in car number 87 now reeling in Frank Kimmel, and pretty soon we'll have a battle for 5th place as they move down the back straightaway. Mike Garvey in the number 44 also in the thick of things as Kimmel, and then it's Isaacs, then Garvey racing together on the front straightaway. 41 complete here tonight in the running of the Metal Center Bluegrass 300 tonight at Louisville Motor Speedway. The leaders moving in on Randall Rice in car number 75 as they exit turn number 4 and down the front straightaway. Hank Hartledge, Joe Williamson Sr. along with the 99 of Larry Clyer and Chad Paxton will try to stay on the lead lap as well.
Here at the Bluegrass Metal Center 300. Our live coverage continues here from the back of the night.
I tell you what, Dean, it's a situation where we've got the top 7 cars all racing down the same straightaway together as Bill Webb in car number 1 continues to lead. He's having a little difficulty right now getting around Hank Hartledge. He'll glide up, look to the inside, pull the trigger, and he's got his man going into turns 1 and 2. Hartledge now 1 lap down to the race leaders. Getting a little tongue-tied here. It's Bill Kimmel Jr. still at 2nd, Scott Walters at 3rd, and then going forward, Chuck Winders. Now, once again, you can throw a blanket over those top 4 cars. Then we come to a second echelon of racers, headed up by 5th place running Frank Kimmel in the number 28, Roland Isaacs, along with Mike Garvey. Those 3 cars running together, and then Preston Ford in the number 20, also in the top 10, racing by his lone self going into turns 1 and 2. So actually the top 7 cars separated into 2 groups of racers as they get a lap on the number 11, the Tumbleweed Tex-Mex Restaurants Racing Z28 of Joe Williamson Sr. now goes 1 lap down to our race leaders. As they pull around Chad Paxton as well, it'll be Webb, your leader, at lap number 50. And only 50 more laps to that first Metal Center bonus paid here tonight at lap number 100. Well, Marshall Jaggers, Bill Kimmel Jr. has slacked off a little bit. His aggressive driving style that we've seen in the early going slacked off, but now he gets right back on the gas again and seems to want to challenge Bill Webb for that lead.
Yeah, he sure does. He's kind of come down and put it in line and followed Webb for a little bit. I think he's let his tires cool off a little bit where he got him a little hot trying too hard. He's going to try Webb again. Bill Kimmel Jr. wants to lead this race.
He sure does, and the driver that he's won 3 feature events during the 1991 racing season here at Louisville Motor Speedway, would like to take home the big one tonight. The only problem is he's getting a little aggressive early in the race and could be burning out some brakes and using up tires, but I tell you what, Bill Kimmel Jr. knows how to drive a race car, and he knows what he wants to do. This time he looks to the outside of Bill Webb going into turns 1 and 2. Had thoughts of passing on the outside, but that didn't pan out as well. Again, the top 3 cars, Webb, Kimmel, along with the number 5 of Scott Walters, and we get a caution flag. So the yellow flag coming out at lap number 55. Yellow flag brought out at lap number 55 of the Metal Center Bluegrass 300.
And it looks like Marshall Jagger's pointing out some debris up there in turn number 3. Is that what the case is, Marshall?
Yeah, one of the NASCAR officials is going onto the track to bring it off of the track. Now, I'm not for sure. I can't tell what it is from here. It's very possible it may be part of a header pipe or something off of one of the cars.
All right, so
74 Oldsmobile's lost a lot of laps, but he's back on the track.
Brian Baum has a rear sway bar repaired on the number 74, several laps down to the field, but nonetheless in the running. And I tell you what, Dean Taylor, you have to be in the running if you want to be a winner.
undoubtedly, it's you're going to have to stay with it to get out there. There are 61 laps now complete in the event. The cars lining up, of course, the faster cars, the cars that are on the lead lap are on the outside, and then the slower lap cars lining up on the inside of the event. Right now, it's the number 1 of Bill Webb out in front, Jeffersonville's own Bill Webb out in front with Clarksville's Bill Kimmel Jr. right behind him, and then we find the number 5 of Scott Walters. There's your top 3 as they come around getting ready for green flag action once again.
Green flag will appear at lap number 61 as Bill Webb puts that budget rent-a-car and truck racing Chevrolet Lumina out front as they scoot down the back straightaway. Bill Kimmel Jr. in the number 69 still rides at second on the field. Scott Walters goes third. Chuck Winders at fourth, but a lot of sparks from underneath the Chuck Winders machine. It looks like a piece of debris has broken free from Winders' car, flew up, hit the outside retaining wall in turn number 1. It looks like it was an exhaust pipe. It doesn't appear to have slowed Winders' car down any, so I would assume, Marshall Jaggers, that it was an exhaust pipe.
It's real possible. The caution flag that came out was for a piece of exhaust pipe over in turn 3. Now up in the top part of turn 1, well out of the racing service, there's another piece of exhaust pipe. If both pieces come off of Chuck's car, that means that the headers are coming apart. He's able to run that way, but what's going to happen is he's going to get a lot of fumes and a lot of heat inside that car. He won't notice it until probably somewhere around the 100 lap mark, and then you'll be able to tell.
I'll tell you what, that time down the front straightaway, the number 25 of Junior Blankenship, as he moves down into turns 3 and 4, has a lot of structural damage to the left front of his automobile, but nonetheless seems to be motoring around the speedway pretty well. But my goodness, look at the front end of Junior Blankenship's car. I'll tell you what, it looks like he's seen a lot of racing action here tonight as the left front fender is blown back as well as the front spoiler, but nonetheless he continues to circle this Louisville Motor Speedway, hoping to place well in tonight's Metal Center Bluegrass 300. The top 4 scoot off into turns 1 and 2. Bill Kimmel Jr. and Scott Walters make a little contact out of the second turn area. Walters losing some of that momentum. And again, Marshall, I can't believe how aggressive these drivers are within the first 100 laps of tonight's contest.
Yeah, I think Bill Webb is just kind of setting a moderate pace. Bill Kimmel Jr. is awful fast, and he wants to go ahead and go. NASCAR is black flag, the number 25 car, Junior Blankenship. Going to bring him in and let his pit crew do a little work, but the body seems to be coming completely off of it. He's having a problem making it in pit road.
And he nearly collected Chad Paxton, and that's the problems with trying to get down onto pit road. As Chad Paxton was trying to pass Junior along on the inside, Junior made that hard left-hand turn to try to get down pit road, and he collected Chad Paxton's machine. It looks like just a minor scrape between the two cars. Paxton is able to restart his car. He'll come down pit road and get right back into the race, I believe. Blankenship will have to have some of that body work torn away in the number 25. Randall Rice in car number 75. He's come in for service as the Flynn Brothers Contractors pit crew will go to work on the number 75. Scott Douglas, you've got a comment.
The Junior Blankenship was seen as a fence. They're trying to take all kinds of things away from him. Do not know he got caught up with Blankenship. Sitting at the end of the pit row, his entire crew was screaming, waiting in the crowd. He just sent right back to the pit. Chad was back out. I think he got momentum in the car. Randall Rice is being pushed back. It looks like he's different work in the 75. It's done.
Scott Douglas, it could be a situation, though, when Chad Paxton came down pit road, he could have gone on and made his scheduled stop then. Why do you believe the crew passed up that opportunity?
Well, you're absolutely right. It probably might have been a chance for him to do it. He would have lost several laps, as you well know. If he would have done that, he would have been back out there. They put their cross out there anymore, hoping that they'll get a yellow flag.
lap number 78 this time around. It's still Bill Webb of Jeffersonville, Indiana. The top 4 cars moving single file into turns 1 and 2. Bill Kimmel Jr. still in second. Scott Walters goes third. At fourth, it's Chuck Winders. And all 4 cars, Dean Taylor, are expecting to take their shot at the 100-lap bonus put up by the Metal Center Recycling Center located on Grade Lane. Dean?
Frank Scott, we have bonuses tonight at 100, 150, and 200. Right now, looking best for that number 80 is a discount. Bill Kimmel Jr., though, still right behind him. Then Scott Walters and Chuck Winters. We haven't seen any more sparks out of Chuck Winters' car yet, but we'd like to see how the first few things
and that piece of debris is still laying up in the first turn area, and once again it came off the number 8 of Chuck Winders' machine. However, it's way up out of the racing groove, so will remain green flag racing. 81 laps complete, and we've still got about 8 players still in this thing that are very close together. Again, the top 8 cars are separated into 2 separate groups. The number 1 of Bill Webb, our race leader, followed by Bill Kimmel Jr., Scott Walters, and the number 8 of Chuck Winders. And then a second group of cars led by the number 44, the 5th place running Mike Garvey, Frank Kimmel. Then it's Roland Isaacs in the number 87 and Preston Ford in that second group. So I tell you what, again, still we have 8 good, strong race cars out there that I feel, well, as a matter of fact, officially are on the lead lap, and it could be just about anybody's race there. However, I believe that 100-lap bonus will be paid to someone in the front 4 right now as they exit turn number 2 and down the back straightaway and into turns 3 and 4. Kimmel goes hunting for the lead. He'll look to the outside of Webb as they come screaming down the front straightaway. They'll click off lap number 86. They're back into turns 1 and 2. Dean Taylor?
All right, looks like the number 44, Mike Garvey, stalling here in the front straightaway as he loses power on his car.
So left... Well, I tell you what, it's a shame. It's a 5th place running automobile, Mike Garvey, and it looks like definitely a left rear tire has gone flat on the 1990 Winston All-American Challenge Series champion. Mike Garvey experiencing a left rear tire that has gone flat. We have not seen the caution flag yet. Garvey's car remains stopped in between the 3rd and 4th turn. He'll have to come all the way around the racetrack to get down pit road. Fortunately, he's on the inside apron of the Speedway, still digging up concrete, though, into the 1st and 2nd turn. The race leaders will have to try to avoid Garvey as he makes his way over to turn number 2. And I tell you what, he'll be coming down pit road. Just how much damage to the car other than the left rear, though, Marshall Jaggers, if you had to speculate?
Probably not very much damage. That car sits off below, but it's all a tubing chassis and underneath of it. He may have just drove some bolts. An interesting note is he started in the 14th position. When he qualified, he only qualified on front wheel brakes. They worked on it, got it going, and it got a lot more comfortable for him. Mike's experience with these type of races, and he moved himself up to the 5th spot. It looked like he cut a left rear tire down. The crew's putting a left rear tire on it, and he should be going back out on the track anytime.
Okay.
Scott Douglas has to report down on pit road, so let's go with him right now.
Well, you know, in watching the work in the pit, several members of the work like Garvey working on it. The jack is broken, and it's through and get over the 2x4.
Okay, thank you very much, Scott Douglas, and Scott will keep us abreast of the pit stop strategy work on Mike Garvey's machine. Lap number 95 goes in the books. We're 5 away from that first bonus being paid at lap number 100 from the Metal Center Recycling Center. The proud sponsors of the Bluegrass 300, your race leader, Bill Webb. Jet rockets out at turn number 4, and he's put a little daylight between himself and Bill Kimmel Jr., the 2nd place running car, although Kimmel has been able to close right back in just about any time he wants to. They'll go bumper to bumper out at turn number 4, coming around to complete lap number 97. Scott Douglas? Okay, Scott didn't have a message for us there. We'll continue on. And Marshall Jaggers, you've got a comment.
Yeah, as you notice, they're pushing the number 44 car on back in the pit area to move it all over out of the way. Evidently, when that left rear tire blew, he must have lost the trailing arm or something in it. Mike motioned for the pits or the crew to check something under the rear of the car. They're going to jack it up and take a look at it, but he's not in contention for the win tonight.
Okay, And as the song goes, another one bites the dust here tonight at Louisville Motor Speedway. Just about ready to bite the dust, though, is our bonus being paid by the Metal Center Recycling Center for the leader of lap number 100. That's going to go out to the number 1 of Bill Webb of Jeffersonville, Indiana, as he comes screaming down the front straightaway. And we're a third of the way complete in tonight's running of the Metal Center Bluegrass 300. And Scott Douglas, how much will Bill Webb receive for leading lap number 100?
Well, we're looking at the bike right to Marshall Jaggers there just wanted to go ahead. Obviously, incredibly loud, but you're right. They got it up in the air, and then the jack broke. I'll give it Mike in a minute. That had to really be what knocked him out. Apparently, it was just a first, but he is definitely out of the race. He has an opportunity to get right down the open there.
Okay, and 102 laps now complete, and Bill Webb of Jeffersonville, Indiana, has collected that bonus paid at lap number 100. And I tell you what, Dean Taylor, a third of the way complete here tonight at Louisville Motor Speedway, and we're going to see an exciting race.
Commercial messages on the college Gibson racing network.
The reason they put a board under is you can barely get a jack under a car. You come in on rims, you got to get something other than jack under. Scott thinks the jack well, so he let go of that.
106 laps completed here tonight at Louisville Motor Speedway in Louisville, Kentucky. And the number 1 of Bill Webb is our race leader as they scoot down the back straightaway and down into turns 3 and 4. Problems on car number 95, Fred Williams. A lot of smoke out from underneath the hood of his machine going into turns 1 and 2, and it looks like he's headed back to the pit area. The driver of the Convenient Food Marts Racing Chevrolet Lumina going back behind pit wall. The number 29 of Hank Hartledge falling by the wayside going down into turns 3 and 4, and it looks as though he may be dropping out of contention as well.
Actually, you were okay.
Just about a lap ago, we saw the number 5 Scott Walters machine going down into turns 1 and 2, and some smoke displayed from the right front hub of the number 5 Oldsmobile of Scott Walters. And we'll go to Marshall Jaggers here in a minute for his synopsis of what might have been the problem on the number 5 as it continues to circle this Louisville Motor Speedway and into turns 1 and 2.
What'd you spot?
Walters, smoke coming from the hub, right front hub. Watch it. How far away are we, Dean?
About 15 to 10. Back to the trackside at the Louisville Motor Speedway. Down at the book, Frank Scott, and I believe you've got some commentary with Marshall Jaggers.
Well, as Bud Toohey in the number 38 goes behind pit wall at lap number 115. Yes, we noticed a few laps ago, Marshall, the number 5 of Scott Walters coming down the front straightaway. His right front wheel seemed to have just a haze of smoke coming. Oh, and he just got into the side of the number 83 of David Cornetti, spinning him in the 4-turn area of the speedway. And again, as we had noticed about 4 or 5 laps ago, Scott Walters had some smoke billowing from his right front hub on his machine as David Cornetti and I believe Scott Walters got together down in the 3rd and 4th turn area of the speedway. We're still green flag racing. Scott Walters is slowing coming down the front straightaway, looking for a way, I believe, to get into the pit area as he drops down onto the apron, and maybe our cameraman can get a shot of that. Scott Walters in the number 5, after making contact with David Cornetti in the 3rd and 4th turn, has elected to make his pit stop. And for that, I believe Scott Douglas is our man on the scene right now. And Scott, call the stop.
Right now, the Scott Walters machine is in. They are running right in. Under the brake, a full can of fuel going in. Going ahead and changing. right side
Caliper
tire
might
being
be
changed right
it
now.
looks like he's
Billy
got a
Harris
push.
Cruz leading fueling the machine. He's still up on the jack now. Video comes local with him with Caraway. He's making apparently got a full-way full sheet metal. Right to left side, looking really possible for time. Crossing him into the machine. A lot longer stop than they had hoped for. And then guys staying close. He's up the rider change. They still can't get it down off the jack. So it's obviously a long and very painful stop. Champion Scott Walters.
Well, Scott, once again, as we have observed about 15 laps ago, Walters, the right front hub on his car seemed to be smoking coming down the front straightaway. And for more on that, Marshall Jaggers, what could have been the problem on the number 5?
It's very possible that the right front caliper could have went away. If you got a brake caliper that starts to stick or lock up on you, it'll get real hot, you'll lose your brakes. He was running into the corner and had a push every lap. As he come up on the lap car number 83 of David Cornett, he pushed up and turned him around. Right now, they're working on the right front corner of it, but imagine he's going to find a brake problem.
That's very indicative of smoke coming from the right front hub on the car. And again, I believe the reason Scott got into the side of Cornetti was due to a brake problem in the car that developed again about 15 laps ago. We're 126 laps in the running of the Metal Center Bluegrass 300. Bill Webb has taken once again the lead back some 50 or so laps ago and continues to lead this event. The number 69 of Bill Kimmel Jr. still at second place, a distant running third at this point, about a full straightaway behind Chuck Winders and the number 8 Castle Bingo's Buick, and then going fourth on the field now, the number 20 of Preston Ford, followed by the number 87 of Roland Isaacs. And I believe, let's see, if Scott Douglas may have a comment now.
The next yellow, I believe, will be full-scale action here on pit road. They got all the
Okay, so 131 laps are completed here tonight in the running of the Metal Center Bluegrass 300. And Marshall Jaggers, you have a comment.
Yeah, I was noticing that as they were making the pit stops in the pit area, the busiest guy that seems to be on the pit road is your late model track champion, Keith Gardner. They first took some parts off of his car and put on Brian Baum's car. Now you're seeing that Scotty Walters is getting plenty of water.
Okay, so there you have it. The Gardners here for service and repair. When their car can't be running, they'll take parts off of it and help the others out. So the Sportsmanship of the Race Award going out to the Gardner brothers. Boy, I'll tell you what, another pair of brothers, the Kimmel brothers. Frank Kimmel, trying to remain on the lead lap going into turns 1 and 2, has really offered some stiff opposition for the number 1 of Bill Webb, the leader of this event. The second place running Bill Kimmel Jr. trying to get around Webb for the lead, and it looks like, I don't know if it's some help or not, but some definite influence from the number 28 of Frank Kimmel, his younger brother, trying to remain on the lead lap. But it looks like Webb clearly gets around the inside of Frankie Kimmel on that lap. At lap number 136, Frank Kimmel 1 lap down to our race leaders. Again, our rundown, okay, and let's go to Scott Douglas.
What's trying to point out was the fact that Frank Kimmel, his car come to a stop almost to the back of the pit, and he has pulled onto the pit area of the track, not pit road out here, back into the pit area. Well, we have 37 left, 38 working on the hit machine with still Bill Kimmel Jr. right behind him.
Well, I tell you what, for the moment, Dean, they have tried to, right now, pull themselves away from the rest of the field, and they've done a good job of that. Bill Webb in the number 1. And again, it's shades of 1989 when Webb had this race in the bag, leading the event until he made his pit stop. And then he ran the stop sign at the end of pit road and was penalized to the tail of the lead lap. I bet in 1991 he doesn't make that mistake, Dean Taylor.
Right, you are. We certainly hope that does not occur, but once burned, 41 laps now in this race, and we'll be back with more continuous live coverage of the Bluegrass Metal Center 300. on the collar, Chevy Teal Racing Network.
Fifth is fifth place is
The leaders move down into turns 3 and 4, and the number 87 of Roland Isaacs, the last car on the lead lap and the 5th place running automobile, goes 1 lap down to our race leaders. They move down the back straightaway. Simultaneously, coming out of turn number 2, the number 5 of Scott Walters returns to the race. And at this point, we can only speculate that he has at least lost about a dozen laps, maybe more, maybe as many as 20 laps down. But the number 5 of Scott Walters returns to race action. Now onto pit road comes the number 87 of our 5th place running car at the moment. Pee Wee Valley, Kentucky's Roland Isaacs now receiving service from the Broadway Motorsports crew out of Sellersburg, Indiana, headed up by Gary Hostetler. They'll be taking on outside tires and a full fuel load down on pit road right now. Gary Hostetler is one of the masters at pit stop strategy, as he is summoned from time to time by Louisville, Kentucky's Rick Jeffries for the NASCAR Winston Cup Series. The right side of the car goes down, the outside tires have been installed, a full load of fuel, and the number 87 of Pee Wee Valley, Kentucky's Roland Isaacs returns to racing action. And I tell you what, it was one of the fastest pit stops of the evening.
Yeah, Frank, an interesting note on that. The number 28 crew of Frank Kimmel, the Terry Shirley crew, is who is pitting that car for Gary Hostetler tonight.
Okay, and so the C-Line engineering crew put their heads together and got Roland Isaacs in and out of the pit area in a hurry here tonight. Looks like the number 20 of Preston Ford now moving down into turns 3 and 4. He's slowing down a bit, and perhaps it could be the time. This is the halfway point, and the right way grinding saw and tool halfway bonus has been paid at lap number 150 to Bill Webb of Jeffersonville, Indiana. So
the 150 halfway mark, and with the announcement of the winner, here's Frank Scott.
well, thank you very much, Dean. 150 laps completed here tonight, and Bill Webb of Jeffersonville, Indiana has collected the right way grinding saw and tool halfway point bonus of $300 here this evening. So $300 richer after collecting the bonus at lap number 100. Bill Webb of Jeffersonville, Indiana is our race leader and taking up all the bonus money here tonight at the track of the 90s. Junior Blankenship and the number 25 pulling behind the pit wall at this time. It looks like he's out of contention. And Marshall Jaggers, we saw an excellent stop just a few laps ago by Pee Wee Valley, Kentucky's Roland Isaacs.
Yeah, we sure did, Frank. An interesting note on that, the number 28 car, Frank Kimmel, pulled behind the wall on into the inner pit area, and we're not for sure what the problem was on that car. As Roland Isaacs came down pit road, the Terry Shirley pit crew, which is Frank Kimmel's car owner and crew, pitted the number 87 Roland Isaacs car for Gary Hostetler.
Leaders work out at turn number 4 and down the front straightaway. They'll click off lap number 156 and roar off into turns 1 and 2. The 3rd place running car, Chuck Winders, has been reeling in our race leaders. And what has been a 2-car race for the lead could suddenly become a 3-car race for the lead. And right now, again, the number 87 of Roland Isaacs, I believe he lost at least 2 laps during his pit stop. But keep in mind that our lead automobiles will have to make pit stops as well. And again, it could be a situation where Isaacs could get back some of his time. The 69 of Bill Kimmel Jr., our 2nd place running automobile, having problems over in the 2nd and 3rd turn portion of the Speedway. He's slowing down, and it looks like steam from the right front of his automobile. Marshall Jaggers, what could be the problem on Bill Kimmel Jr.'s machine?
I'm not sure from this angle. There's quite a bit of smoke coming from the right front wheel. It could possibly be steam, or it could possibly be in the brake. The Kimmel pit crew is jacking the car up and taking a look at it now. It's something definitely in the right front.
Okay, and again, it could have been the same problem that Walters had, the number 5 Roadrunner Video Club's Oldsmobile, that perhaps maybe sidelined him at that point. And Bill Kimmel Jr. now on pit road and left to race all by himself as our race leader, Bill Webb of Jeffersonville, Indiana, as he scoots down the front straightaway and into turns 1 and 2. Dean Taylor?
All right, Frank Scott, so there's the story right now. 162 laps down the book. The gentleman who has been out in front all along so far, number one, Gregg. And we got the quarter Walters down our Douglas down on pit road.
He's not on the leaderboard right now, but the Marshall and Frank we're talking about. Maybe it's
I can't keep this one there.
both of these pit crews right now are hanging on. Everybody's got to make a stop. But Gary Huston may be the most experienced. He's the number one guy. In and out in 32 seconds with about 2 tires, full tank of fuel, and theoretically, Roland Isaacs will go the rest of the way. Everybody else has got to stop.
Okay, and that could be a factor now as the number 69 of Bill Kimmel Jr. returned to racing action for just a lap and now has pulled right back down onto pit road. And again, that steaming from the right front of the automobile indicates to me that perhaps the wheel bearings or perhaps the right front brakes have gone away in that automobile, or perhaps the brake caliper, the thing that pinches the brake rotor, and that could have been the problem as well. As right now he's on pit road and receiving service from the WW&H racing team. Bill Kimmel Jr. of Clarksville, Indiana. Field continues to circle this Louisville Motor Speedway with Jeffersonville, Indiana's Bill Webb out front as they roll off into turns 1 and 2. Running at second, officially running second, it's Chuck Winders of Pleasure Ridge Park, Kentucky, and Preston Ford in the number 20 scored as running at third. Those 3 cars right now scored officially on the lead lap at lap number 170. And we are 30 laps away from the next bonus being paid here tonight by the Metal Center Recycling Center during the running of the Metal Center Bluegrass 300. Bill Webb in the Budget Rent-A-Car and Truck, Charlie's Fun Food and Spirits, and Boat and Car Care Racing Chevrolet Lumina, your race leader moving down into turns 3 and 4. Chuck Winders in car number 8, running in the number 2 position right now, the same position he finished during the running of the 1990 Bluegrass 300 here at Louisville Motor Speedway. Preston Ford, his best finish was a 4th place finish during the initial running of the event, the inaugural running in 1989 here at the track of the 90s. Those 3 cars are all on the same straightaway together. First and second place only being separated by the number 87 of Roland Isaacs, who is not on the lead lap, but I'm sure will be a player, a big player in this thing before the checkered flag falls tonight. For another comment, let's go back down to Louisville's Motor Speedway's Scott Douglas.
Thanks so much, Frank. Bill Kimmel Jr. car. Bill Kimmel Jr. has lost a right front wheel bearing, so it's a right wheel bearing that has knocked Bill Kimmel Jr. out. I'll tell you what else, Frank. I'd open that door and talk to the scorers and find out how many laps Roland Isaacs is down. He's as fast as Bill Webb and as fast as anything on this racetrack right now. And Webb and the others still have to pit. Roland can go the rest of the way.
Okay, and perhaps we found something for Marshall Jaggers to do, is go over and check with the scores and see how many laps down the number 87 of Roland Isaacs' machine is to the leaders. Again, he is one of the principal players in this event and is shown up on the scoreboard right now in the number 4 position. And of the top 5 running cars, he is the one that has made his stop along with Bill Kimmel Jr., who is now on the leaderboard in the number 5 position, although not on the lead lap. But both Kimmel and Roland Isaacs have received service on their car, and they can go the rest of the distance. Especially Isaacs, he's taken on outside tires and a full load of fuel, and I believe he only lost a couple of laps or so. But we'll go to Marshall Jaggers, have him check with the scores, and tell you about Roland Isaacs in just a moment.
Kimmel's Park. Kimmel's Park is out. Kimmel's Park is a leaderboard. I know, but he's Kimmel's Park. And the reason Isaacs is so fast, he's got brand new right-side tires on with Webb and Winters don't.
Check and see how many laps down Isaacs is.
They continue to circle this Louisville Motor Speedway during the running of the Bluegrass 300. Your race leader is Bill Webb of Jeffersonville, Indiana. Chuck Winders gets it crossed up coming out of turn number 4, nearly losing the handle on the machine. And the question the experts will be asking themselves now is, Does Chuck Winders need right side tires? Coming out of turn number 4, he gets a little crossed up again, comes down the front straightaway. The third place running Preston Ford right on his back bumper as they move into turns 1 and 2. They'll blast down the back straightaway and pull within striking distance of our race leader, Bill Webb. Out of turn 4 and down the front straightaway. This time, Preston Ford looks to the outside of Winders, and it looks like he tried to take that second place position away before he makes his plan to pit stop. Down the back straightaway and into turns 3 and 4. Now let's go to Marshall Jaggers for a scoring update on Roland Isaacs.
NASCAR has confirmed that the fourth place car, number 87 of Roland Isaacs, is exactly 4 laps down. Depending upon how many laps he can make up when Webb and Winters make their pit stop, will come into play as where he'll come back out on the track.
Okay, and more updates concerning Roland Isaacs forthcoming. 186 laps completed here at the Louisville Motor Speedway for the running of the Metal Center Bluegrass 300 here tonight. There's a good look at your race leader, Jeffersonville, Indiana's Bill Webb, and the Charlie's Fun Food and Spirits Boat and Car Care Racing Chevrolet Lumina. Comes out of turn number 4 and down the front straightaway. Also sponsored by Budget Rent-A-Car and Truck. And into turns 1 and 2. Chuck Winders in the number 8, still at second place on the field. Going third, it's the number 20 of Preston Ford as they come out of turn number 4, bumper to bumper, and the top 3 cars are all together.
15 seconds. With you now at the Louisville Motor Speedway for continuous coverage of the Bluegrass Metal Center 300. And Gregg Marshall Jaggers checking the NASCAR officials to find out that question.
Yeah, and for more on that, let's go to Marshall Jaggers. And Marshall, how far behind the race leaders is our fourth place running the Roland Isaacs in the number 87?
He's exactly 4 laps down. He's made his pit stop. He can go the distance. Your front 3 cars, Webb, Winters, and Preston Ford, all 3 have to make pit stops. If they can get in and out within 4 laps, if it takes them 4 laps, then everybody's back on the lead lap.
Okay, and another comment from Pit Road, Scott Douglas.
Well, Frank, I've been going around surveying the pit crews, and as a general rule, nobody wants to say too much. The Preston Ford team is running the turn. The leader, Bill Benson, saying, hey, we're going too good right now. Once the tires start losing a little ground, once we feel like we're slowing a little bit, we'll come in. John Hayes, but Chuck Winders' car figures he's going to bring Chuck out on lap 200 and lap 220, and that is not very far off the right now.
It's sure not, Scott Douglas. 195 up on the board, and another bonus about to be paid by the Metal Center Recycling Center located on Grade Lane, the proud sponsors of this event here tonight. 196 in the books. Charging Chuck Winders is doing just that, challenging our race leader, Bill Webb of Jeffersonville, Indiana, as they move down into turns 3 and 4. Preston Ford just might sneak in there and get second place away from Chuck Winders. However, he drops right back in line again. We're 3 laps away from another big bonus paid at lap number 200 during the running of the Metal Center Bluegrass 300. They'll come single file out of turn number 4 with Chuck Winders knocking on the back door of Bill Webb. They'll flash across the start-finish line back into turns 1 and 2. We're 2 more laps away from the bonus paid at lap number 200, and so far collecting all the bonuses so far here tonight except for the qualifying pole position has been Bill Webb of Jeffersonville, Indiana. His 91 Chevy Lumina moves off into turns 1 and 2. Winders looks to the low side, falls about a half a car length behind, then moves down into turns 3 and 4, tries the high line on Webb. Scooting out of turn number 4, Bill Webb collects another big bonus paid at lap number 200 here tonight from the Metal Center Recycling Center located on Grade Lane. Chuck Winders may go for another bonus, another type of bonus, and that's called the lead. Something not anybody has been able to do all night, and he just led lap number 201. So Chuck Winders comes up only about a lap short of collecting the bonus, but the fireman for the city of Louisville and the former Kentucky Bourbons professional softball player is your race leader at lap number 201. Dean Taylor, what a spectacular drive tonight.
Think that Bill Webb would lead as long as he has. He'll take it over quite early after the mishap involving the number 5 contacted Ron Page earlier this evening, and he has led now
turns 1 and 2, and it's Charging Chuck Winters in the number 8 race leader. Marshall Jaggers pointed out that the Webb Motorsports crew, who manages our second place running car of Bill Webb, looks like they have their equipment lined up and they are ready to service Bill Webb in just a few moments. And as Scott Douglas pointed out, Todd Hash is ready to service the race leader now, Chuck Winters, within the next 10 or so laps as well, leaving Preston Ford in the number 20 on the racetrack. And we don't know if Eddie Holman and his crew when he will bring or plans to bring Preston Ford in. Scott Douglas, any more speculation on pit stops?
When Bill started slowing down is when they were coming in. Chuck Winters got the lead. We'll probably see Bill Webb very, very soon, within the next couple of laps, possibly. Todd Hass wants to put Chuck Winters in. Chuck is running some trouble right now. He does not want to take him off the track when he's running this well. He's going to stand right out a little bit longer, but they're not going to leave Chuck out there too much longer, apparently. As for Preston Ford, he'll give us no indication that he's going to ride the ball.
Well, I tell you what, Todd Hash has to be an anxious man at this moment. He's just pulled off his work shirt. Now he's walking over to the pit wall. He wants some contact with his race driver right now. He wants to signal him of some type, perhaps maybe to bring him down pit road. But Scott, you said he was running so well, he just likes to stay out there and lead this thing.
I think Todd was really thinking about bringing him in at lap 200, but that was when Chuck started making the big move, and that's when Winters got the lead. And now Hash, I think he's sitting there thinking I'd be crazy to take him off the way he's running right now. Chuck Winters is opening this thing up, but without a yellow, they got to come in.
Okay, as Marshall Jaggers pointed out a few laps ago, we want to give a tip of the hat to Larry Clyer of Shively, Kentucky, moving into turns 1 and 2, directly behind Preston Ford, the number 99, Larry Clyer. He's posted on our leaderboard as the 5th place running car here tonight. The best he's run in 1991 here at the Louisville Motor Speedway, and certainly the best he's ever run in the Metal Center Bluegrass 300. So there's a good look at Larry Clyer in the Jeep headquarters, Houseman Motors, and Kroger's Automotive Racing Buick Regal. Sorry about that, radio listeners, but I was looking up into the TV monitor here tonight. Dean Taylor?
All right, so here we are on lap number 214 of the Bluegrass Charging Chuck Winters is now taking over the lead, and we'll be back with more continuous live coverage of the Bluegrass Metal Center 300 after these commercial messages on the College Chevy GL.
216 laps complete. Charging Chuck Winters of Pleasure Ridge Park, Kentucky, in a 91 Buick Regal, pacing the field down the back straightaway. Once again, Chuck is a fireman for the city of Louisville and a former Kentucky Bourbon softball player, former professional softball player with the Kentucky Bourbons. He retired from softball and took up race driving about 9 years ago. And it's Winters who glides way up the 12-degree banking out of turn number 4, down the front straightaway, looking for another major victory here at Louisville Motor Speedway. Chuck's last major win came back earlier this year during the running of the Derby City 100 Sportsman event. And again, although Chuck didn't place where he wanted to in the point standings in 1991, he certainly could pick up the perfect bookend to his victory in the Derby City 100. I said he didn't place real well in the point standings. He won the Sportsman Championship, but didn't place that well in the late models. Again, placing in the top 5, but if you're Chuck Winters, you want the championship, and he didn't get the championship for the late models in 1991, but placing very well up in the standings in the top 5 here at this track, and he'll get a trip to the Opryland Hotel as well, representing Louisville Motor Speedway in the Winston Racing Series by being the top placing driver inside the top 10. So there he goes, the number 10 of Chuck Winters off into turns 1 and 2. Again, Chuck Winters looking for the perfect bookend, so to speak, to his Derby City 100 victory earlier this year in sportsman competition, his sportsman title in 1991, and maybe perhaps tonight the Metal Center Bluegrass 300. Charging Chuck blasts down the back straightaway. Preston Ford's going hunting for second place. He took a peek to the inside of Bill Webb that time, moving into turns 3 and 4 as they come out of turn number 4 and down the front straightaway, but then Preston falls about 2 car lengths behind our second place running car, Bill Webb, as they move out of turn 2.
that muffler was on that car to start a race. They also take the body for body panels and all that. A lot of these cars have been tore up in accidents. They understand that body panels that can be tore away. I said earlier that with that pipe breaking, it would make a considerable amount of heat inside of the cockpit and possibly some fumes. That could be bothering Chuck, and then again, might not be. When you get out the heat, you sort of get all your little aches and pains, and more of those you see the checkered flag.
And go he has right now. He's opened up about a full straightaway lead over his closest competitor, which was former race leader, the number 1 Bill Frank Scott.
Well, again, I think the call right now goes out to Webb Motorsports. Surely their car wasn't as fast as it once was because it's no longer leading the race. They, I believe, are waiting for a caution flag. They need a caution to bring their car in and service it, because naturally you don't lose as many laps under caution as you do under green flag race conditions. Now, in the case of Roland Isaacs, our 4th place running car, he lost 4 laps when he made his stop, but the race was under green racing conditions at that time. Webb Motorsports wants to bring Bill Webb in, but they want to bring him in on a caution flag period so they don't lose as much time on pit road. The big question is, will we get a caution flag period before Bill Webb gets passed up for 2nd place? That's the big question right now, as they continue to circle this Louisville Motor Speedway for the running of the 1991 Metal Center Bluegrass 300. Preston Ford in the number 20 still maintains his 3rd place running and keeps applying the pressure to Bill Webb, but so far hasn't been able to complete the pass around him. Going into turns 3 and 4, he looks to the high side, drops back in line again, now to the outside again in front of the VIP suite, full of our friends from the Metal Center here tonight, and they run side by side down the backstretch and into turns 3 and 4. Whoa, when they come together, Preston Ford recovers but turns dead left into the side of Bill Webb. Webb recovers and pulls away, and miraculously all they did was lose their momentum. But at this point in the race, Scott Douglas, I believe they're getting a little physically tired, and I believe those type of driving errors can start to occur. What do you think?
You're absolutely right, Frank. That's what they have to wait for race. What I'm watching now is the scoreboard. Todd Hash and the entire Chuck Winders crew does not want to go. They do not want to go past 240. Eddie Holman continues to look like a River Road gambler, and the web crew is dying to come in. Nobody really wants to go past 240. They're afraid of the fuel. They're going to have to come in very soon if they can't get in.
Well, it looks like Todd Hash along with Scott Toohey have rallied the troops on pit road, and our race leader Chuck Winders from Pleasure Ridge Park pulls down pit road, and Todd Hash along with the crew will go to works. Here's Scott Douglas for the call for the stop.
All right, they've got the fuel going into the left side quickly underneath the checking tires all the way around. Just a fuel stop. They are not going to change tires. No tires on the Chuck Winders machine. The last drop the fuel man put in, they've got enough to go, and the can is still hanging on. He is running off with the gas can. They're still in the can. They're dragging it off the side. That's going to cost us fairly valuable time. He was running it out in about 25 seconds. Now it's a 40-second stop, and he took off with the gas can still hooked in the
Boy, I tell you what, Scott Douglas, that is a common mistake made on pit stops. Especially, we've seen them on the Winston Cup Series and the ARCA Series. Again, we'll set the scenario for you. It was a 25-second pit stop for Chuck Winders, but as he pulled away from the pit area, he still had the dump can still attached to the car. He had to stop at the end of pit road where Louisville Motor Speedway officials jerked it from the car, but cost him, I would say, somewhere around 6 to 7 seconds at the end of pit road. Dean Taylor, wasn't that your speculation as well?
Undoubtedly, that's the way that it's now dropping him back into 3rd place. The fact that he didn't lose more than that. So that gives him the number 20 of Preston Ford is running 2nd. And we go back to number 8 of Chuck Winders running back in 3rd. He is now about a half lap, about a half lap away from the leader right now. He's got a lot of ground to make up. All right, we'll be back with more continuous live coverage of the Bluegrass Metal Center.
Look at that, number 10, Chad Paxton running 3rd, or 4th.
Duct tape and all.
247 laps into this Metal Center Bluegrass 300, make that 248. And some new players enter into the top 5. We'll find him coming down the front straightaway, the number 10 of Chad Paxton. Rolling off into turns 1 and 2 right now, offering a little opposition to the third place running car of Chuck Winters. But Chad Paxton of Louisville, Kentucky is currently in the number 4 spot. As again, our cameraman Carl Blanton can maybe take a look at the number 10 going into turns 1 and 2. Chad Paxton down the back straightaway. There he is, our 4th place running car. Chad Paxton, runner-up for Rookie of the Year honors in 1991 here at Louisville Motor Speedway, driving Jimmy Loeb's Big Bingo Budget Brokers USA sponsored Buick Regal, moving down into turns 3 and 4. Directly behind him, and we'll have to keep this in mind, the number 11 of Joe Williamson Sr. out of Shafley, Kentucky, in the Tumbleweed Tex-Mex Restaurants, Kroger's Automotive, and Able Auto Parts Pipe Fitters Local 522 Z28 Camaro is currently in the number 5 position. Now, according to Louisville Motor Speedway scoring, they are placing Roland Isaacs back in the number 4 spot, and Chad Paxton back to the number 5 positioning. So Joe Williamson Sr., we feel, is currently at 6th. 253 laps completed, and now the big question is, how long will Webb Motorsports as well as P&E Racing wait to bring their drivers down pit road? There's a good look at
laps down the number 74, Brian Baum has spun out up in between turns 3 and 4. The yellow flag is going to come in. Bill Webb has stopped.
It was a mistake.
As again, Frank Scott.
I tell you what, Dean Taylor, the yellow flag coming out for Brian Baum spinning down in turns 3 and 4. I don't know. It could have worked out to be an error on the part of Bill Webb, the driver himself. He brought his car down pit road. He did not get any servicing. He gave up the number 1, or excuse me, the lead position to Preston Ford, then didn't get any servicing, pulled back onto the speedway. Now he'll still have to come in for a stop, and he's given up the lead. Scott Douglas, your observations.
Well, all he has given up, Frank Scott, is the lead. He still got back out of the lead lap. He had to do that because of when the caution flew. This really works out best for Preston Ford. He had not come in. He can now get his service under the yellow, but it does not a crucial blow to Bill Webb. He is still going to be the second car on that lap. The man it really seems to hurt is Chuck Winters. We'll see how quick they can get in and out. Chuck only lost a lap, however. He may still be able to make it up, even though it's a caution period, depending on these stops. Bill Webb is in. They're going to work and putting the fuel in. They are going to change right side tires on the Bill Webb machine. So right now, the Webb Motorsports group has the jack on it right now. They're getting the fuel in. All they need is enough to make it the rest of the way. And of course, we're just talking about another 42 laps. Here comes Preston Ford, your race leader, in. Preston Ford now comes on. They'll go immediately around, start putting the fuel in. It is a good stop for the Webb Motorsports crew. Bill Webb is getting back out. We'll have to see how they sort the scoring out. Webb is clearly out in front of Preston Ford, but did he go in on the same lap? I'm not sure. We're watching Preston Ford take the fuel in right now. Like Chuck Winters, they will not take any tires. They will not change tires. It's just fuel. They're going to go ahead and get everything they can. They're emptying the dump can. Now they can't again. They can't get the dump can away from the car. They finally busted free. Here comes Preston Ford out in front of Chuck Winters. He barely got out in front of Chuck Winters.
Well, it's a credit to Eddie Holman and that P&E Racing team servicing that car. And really, you know, Preston came out of turn number 2, hesitated before coming down pit road, then he got on the gas again, took that hard left-hand turn, and then brought it down pit road. But I tell you what, Scott, those gas cans don't want to disengage too easily here tonight, do they?
No, you're right. But I'm watching the Webb Motorsports crew, and they are livid about Preston Ford being left back out. They thought Preston Ford should have been held and that Chuck Winters just got up here. Of course, that would benefit Bill Webb as well. And they are absolutely livid, thinking that Preston Ford got a break and should have been held. That is a touchy call. Marshall Jaggers might be able to expound on it a little bit. But if the car, if Chuck Winters, the leader, had passed up the pit road, then Preston Ford would have lost the lap. They let him get back out. He got back in front of Chuck Winters and did not lose that lap.
Okay, so there you have it, the story down on pit road from Louisville Motor Speedway. Scott Douglas in a major undertaking, less than 40 laps away from a finish of tonight's Metal Center Bluegrass 300.
Well, Frank, I don't know if you've noticed it a while ago, but when just before the caution came out, when Bill pulled down onto pit road, they put the gas can to the car and got it stuck, and he wound up pulling one of his crew members along with him. So this has definitely been a factor in tonight's race. The sticking gas cans that cost some drivers some time down there on pit road.
That's exactly right, Dean. And again, it's some of the same things that we see occur during a Winston Cup event. Again, these dump cans, they engage into the car through a dry brake system, and then there's supposed to be a spring-loaded release on the cans, and they're not releasing real well here tonight. So that's maybe something that the crews will have to look at down the road a ways. Nonetheless, after 262 laps, your race leader is Bill Webb. He's sitting pretty right now. Coming out of turn number 4, the race leaders come down, and it's a false restart. They do not get the restart as Chuck Winters jumped a little bit too soon. The number 11 of Joe Williamson Sr. out of Chevrolet, Kentucky, car number 11, a car we feel is in the top 10 right now, is also on the tail of the lineup after receiving a stop in the pit area. The leaders move down into turns 3 and 4, and again they come slightly out of line. Bill Webb and Chuck Winters pacing down into turns 1 and 2. I got a question for you, Scott Douglas. Lining up this way, who sets the pace on the restart, the lapped car or the race leader?
Obviously, the race leader does, but Chuck Winters is going to go hell-bent for leather to stay on this lead lap, and he is not going to give up that groove.
Okay, Bill Webb leads them a little out of turn number 4. I don't know, Scott Douglas. Your guess is as good as mine. Webb was out front and pacing them this time.
Obviously, David Geiger is going to make them start just like they do every week, and that is they're going to have to be even, and he's not going to throw it until they come on that turn even.
Okay, one tough customer, David Geiger, our flagman, and it looks like a beautiful restart this time around. Winters carries a little high coming out of the 4th turn, putting the pressure on Bill Webb. They'll glide off side by side into turns 1 and 2. The 99 of Larry Clyer, our 5th place running car, has something wrong on the right front suspension and may be coming back into the pit area. It's Bill Webb out front after he and Chuck Winters got into a pushing match up in the 4th turn area of the Speedway, but Webb takes command of this event. He's out front. Winters is 1 lap down to Webb as they come out of turn number 4 and down the front straightaway in single file formation. And I tell you what, Marshall Jaggers, lap number 271 in the books, and Bill Webb's one tough customer out there tonight.
Yeah, it sure is, Frank. Chuck needed to lead across the line and hope for a caution. He would have went back on the lead lap and back around the tail of the field. What has happened now on that restart, Chuck lined it up 1 lap down. When Bill Webb passed him, that should have put him 2 laps down.
Okay, so there you have it. Coming out of turn number 4 and down the front straightaway. 274 laps complete. The number 1 of Bill Webb with a full tank of fuel and fresh tires on the right side is the race leader. Preston Ford at 2nd place, but right now there is the lapped car of Chuck Winters separating them. Preston has a full load of fuel, but he has tires on the right-hand side that have 275 laps on them. And I tell you what, they don't grip nearly as well as our race leaders. Down the front straightaway and into turns 1 and 2. The number 5 of Scott Walters, a top running car early in this event, but he got himself a bunch of laps down due to suspension problems in the car. I believe the brake rotor or the brakes pads were locking up, and he was sidelined for quite a few laps. He's still in the event. Roland Isaacs, now perhaps as many as 3 laps down to our race leaders, is currently in the number 4 spot, and the number 10 of Chad Paxton, that screaming yellow zonker on the racetrack, owned by Jimmy Logue, is currently in the number 5 position. So that's got to be the Cinderella story of the event. Chad Paxton driving a car he's not familiar with, and Chad Paxton just finishing up his rookie year in the late model division. Finds himself running at 5th place in the most important late model race of the year, the Metal Center Bluegrass 300. Dean Taylor?
And of course, Chad was involved. As you can see, or as the folks at home tell him, duct tape is holding that puppy together, and he is definitely holding it onto that number 5 second on the lead lap. Chuck Winters is right there on Bill's tail. Chuck, of course, is a lap down, running third at the moment. He has got to make that back up. What they done last year, can it be done again this year? Only
Moving off into turns 1 and 2, Bill Webb, our race leader, is again challenged on the outside by the number 8 of Chuck Winters. Again, Chuck Winters trying to get back his lap as they come down the front straightaway. 284 complete. Again, Chuck Winters 1 lap down to our race leaders. Here comes Scott Walters, who is at least a dozen or maybe as many as 20 laps down. But it looks like Walters is perhaps maybe one of the strongest, fastest cars on the racetrack. Unfortunately, he's not a top contender at this point in the event, but he could get up there and be a factor to contend with among those race leaders. Dean Taylor.
We're winding our way down to the final 2 laps here, and so moving back and forth continues live coverage of the Bluegrass Metal Center 300 after these commercial messages on the Common 17 Racing Network.
If he passes back on the lead lap, I was thinking he went 2 now, but he couldn't.
Bill Webb of Jeffersonville, Indiana, and the Charlie's Food, Fun, and Spirits. Boat and Car Care, Budget Rent-A-Car and Truck, Racing Chevrolet Lumina, your race leader, scooting down into turns 3 and 4. Chuck Winters in car number 8, the Castle Bingo, Crisco Racing Engines, and A1 Engineering Buick Regal is at 3rd place and 1 lap down to the field. He's trying to get back on the lead lap and then hope for some type of caution flag period to come out so that he may have a shot to win the event. They're running side by side down the front straightaway, and you just got to believe Bill Webb has been glancing up at that leaderboard and realizes that to put up a stiff challenge to Winters would simply cost him a little bit of energy from his race car. Instead, he wisely lets Winters get back around him and on the lead lap. But with only 10 laps to go in the race, Bill Webb sitting once again in a very good condition right now, because Winters will need a caution flag period to get back on the, to come back around to even challenge for the lead. 291 laps completed. We're less than 9 laps away from a finish here tonight.
Preston's closing on it. That's for the lead.
Ford's on the lead lap, right?
Yeah. Preston, the cars that put on Webb, like the first up. See, he's too tight. He can't go in the corner like he was.
Problem on Chuck. Problem on Chuck.
20 seconds.
Race leaders move down the front straightaway. Bill Webb in the number 1, leading the field into turns 1 and 2. Second place running Preston Ford, closing in though on Bill Webb. Coming up now on 5 laps, the number 8 of Chuck Winters. Something went amiss on his Buick Regal. He pulls down pit road the wrong direction. He's out of the race.
Back here with you now at the track of the 90s, Louisville Motor Speedway. Chuck Winters' car.
Okay, and Chuck Winters, something went amiss on the Castle Bingo Buick Regal with less than 6 laps to go in the race. He pulls down pit road the wrong direction, then re-enters the track going the wrong direction and slows on the back straightaway. The battle is for the lead now with less than 4 laps to go, and into turns 3 and 4. Preston Ford looks to the outside of Bill Webb as they come screaming down the front straightaway. Preston Ford has been closing in lap by lap on our race leader Bill Webb as they come out of turn number 2 and down the back straightaway. Marshall Jaggers, you said that Bill Webb had the car binding up on him.
Yeah, it looked like when they made the pit stop, they tightened the car up. It's a little too tight. He's not able to go in the corners as well. He's got the horsepower to come down the straightaway, but Preston's been consistent and he's fast through the corners, even though he is on older tires.
Okay, and what Preston Ford wishes he had right now is fresh of tires as Bill Webb. The white flag's out. Less than 1 lap to go on the best Metal Center Bluegrass 300 ever. Into turns 3 and 4. It's Bill Webb of Jeffersonville, Indiana. Preston Ford looks to the outside. No dice. He'll drop back in line, and a pair of checkered flags come out on Jeffersonville, Indiana's Bill Webb in the Budget Rent-A-Car and Truck. Charlie's Food, Fun, and Spirits, and Boat and Car Care Racing Chevrolet Lumina. But a gallant effort by the number 20 of Preston Ford in the JB's Body Shop, St. Matthew's Import Body Shop, Sterling Beard and Dad's Mufflers Racing Chevrolet Lumina. Okay, let's go down to Scott Douglas. Scott?
We're going to try and hold some of them there. They're going crazy out. Come on over here. Crew chief with the Webb bunch, and man, it was a dandy right down to the end. First of all, you told me on that last break, thought they shouldn't have called the stop and go penalty there, or at least they ran a stop sign, but you said, whatever happened, you had fresh fuel and fresh tires and you felt good, and you held him on.
Billy and I talked about this race. We were very upset the first year that we ran this race. We lost it. And really, really good for them. Big effort this time to try to win this